Sorry, we're a couple minutes late. We are still sorting through a couple technical difficulties and hoping to try some things out and have John share his screen. But I will go ahead and kick things off. Thanks for everyone for joining today on our last day of Marjoryman. I'm super excited to kick off this session with John Dieter. John's going to share some insights on Salesforce marketing reporting and using UTMs to show ROI. So I'm going to kick it off to John and see if he can share his screen. And if not, we may need to do a little more troubleshooting, but hoping to get things going very soon here. Just doing a couple workarounds, and we will get going very shortly. Thanks for your patience, everyone. If anyone's joining late, we're just sorting through a few technical difficulties and should be live very shortly. We're just sharing where everyone's calling in from, lightening the mood a little on this Friday. It's very gloomy here. I'm in Madison, Wisconsin.
Go ahead and jump in here while we wait, Joanna. We've had a lot of really cool sessions today. Did you get a chance to sit on any of them?
This is my first one of the day. I'm looking forward to it, and it looks like some good ones coming up too.
Gotcha.
I was excited for the Genie, the B2B marketing with Genie and account engagement this afternoon.
Right. And we're going to be giving out a bunch of swag at that one. So if you guys make sure you attend live because it's going to be a treat for sure.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Do you know what the swag is?
We're going to be giving a little bit of everything. So we'll have some, here's an insider's view because nobody else knows. We're going to be giving some plushies. So if you love Brandy and Astro and those guys, you'll be able to maybe get one of those. We'll also be sending out a survey later today, just in case you can't attend live. Fill that survey out, and then you'll be put into a raffle for additional swag. So I think we've given away some beanies, some shirts, etc. Oh, looks like Angelica's on.
I can see Angelica's just joined the Goldcast one. Yep.
I sure am. Can you folks hear John in the background as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. I don't want to tell you how we've got things set up because it's really, I mean, we got Zoom going, we got a whole bunch of things going. So what's going to happen is I'm going to share the slides and John's going to talk via Zoom, via me live on Goldcast. So we'll see how that works out. I cannot mute myself, but I will try to be super quiet. John, I will kick things back over to you to get started.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Right, from my screen, I can't see the slides right now, so I can't tell if they're being shared. So I'm going to have to assume they are. I will just talk through from my slide deck and assume you're going slide by slide. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will share my Zoom screen so you can also see what's going on.
Oh, that would be perfect. Yes, let's do it that way. Ah, there we go. Okay.
All right, we're in business.
Oh. Technology on a Friday. Right. Right. Thank you, everyone. So sorry for the delay. This is the slightly delayed marketing reporting Dreaming presentation. My name's John. I'm the head of digital marketing. I work for a company called Close Brothers in the UK. We are a bank, primarily B2B. And our websites that I manage with my team are usually used for lead generation. They're just brochureware websites. I've been working with Pardot, or Marketing Cloud, I should say, for just over 6 years, and I'm a certified specialist and consultant. If you could go on to the next one, please. Oh, we can go past the sponsors. Thank you to all our sponsors, by the way. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you today about UTM reporting. Now, in this session, I'm going to cover UTMs, what they are and why we love them, capturing UTMs on your Marketing Cloud forms and getting that information to your CRM, how we capture them both online and for offline activity as well, how we then send that information from a prospect to a lead, to a contact, and to an opportunity in your CRM, and then using all that captured data, how we currently use it in CRM Analytics to report. Now, if you don't use CRM Analytics, that's fine. I still think a lot of the process here and effectively the tactics we use would still be relevant for other systems, but I'm going to show you CRM Analytics as that's what we have. Have the next one, please. So what is a UTM? Some of you may be fully aware of what they are. You may already use them already, but it stands for Urchin Tracking Module, which I'll be absolutely honest, I have no idea where that name came from, but a UTM is what we just tend to call them. For us, they capture three things. They capture the source, which is where it came from. This could be a website, it could be a publication, it could be an event. They capture the medium, that is the channel. So that could be email, it could be an event, it could be pay-per-click advertising, we call it PPC, and it also captures the campaign that was associated with as well. Now, only website inquiries capture all this information. It's the most accurate type of track information that we use, and it captures the last touch point that a lead has before they submit the inquiry. Now, we use, in order to generate the UTM lead, UTM URLs, we use Google Analytics Campaign URL Builder. It's free to use. You type in your URL. Oh, sorry, the screen's just gone for me.
Oh.
Ah, thank you. Thank you. It captures, you type in the URL, you type in your source, your medium campaign, and it gives you the UTM URL there for you. If you go on to the next slide for me, please. When you use UTMs, I would definitely recommend setting naming conventions first to ensure everything's captured correctly. Just so you're aware, UTMs are case sensitive. So email with a capital E and email with a lowercase e would both be captured as separate UTM mediums. we've made this mistake ourselves, so I'm just passing that information on. If you do make that mistake, you can actually fix it with an automation rule to just clean up your data if you need to. But I'd say try and get it as close to perfect as you can from the off. These are some examples of UTMs that we've actually used in the past. So you can see here this top one, the source, the IMHX, that's an event that we attended. That's the reason the medium is the event. And then the campaign, because it was our manufacturing team, that's the MNF, attended IMHX 2022. And then we put the date in, which was the September 2022. And we do that for different events, for an email that we sponsored, for some PPC campaigns, and also for a QR code, because that's how we capture it offline. I'll talk a bit more about that later. We also, for direct or organic traffic, with UTMs, you're only going to capture the information if they are coming to your website via a UTM URL. The direct and organic traffic, of course, that's not the case. So we actually use an automation rule that triggers that if someone fills an inquiry form and the UTM fields are blank, we know it must have come direct or organically, and we put those in a separate list so we can look at that data separately. If we go on to the next one. So I've talked about how we do this, but what's the benefit here? So the benefit we see is if you've got I think that this way, you've got your source, your medium, your campaign, and they kind of overlap this way. And when you're doing a report, sometimes you want to know, how did a particular source do just on its own? That's fine, that's the blue circle. But sometimes you might want to know, how did a particular source do, but just through a particular channel, in which case you then have these overlap sections. So if you just go on to the next slide, I've broken this down into sort of examples here. So the source in this example is Facebook. The medium is your pay-per-click advertising, and the campaign is a summer offer that your company may have. By this way, you can then decide, well, what's important? How do you want to define this information? Do you want to know the summer offer on its own? Do you want to know only where the summer offer leads came from via pay-per-click? Or maybe you want to actually have pay-per-click leads via Facebook just for this summer offer, in which case it's that section right in the middle there. So you can refine this as much as you need to, really, depending on what your requirements are. If we move on, please. So how do we capture this? So Pardot or Marketing Cloud should capture this information automatically, the same way that Google Analytics does. However, it doesn't always, and for us, it didn't. So we had to find a way around that. So what we did is we created custom fields, which you're probably aware of. We created 3, UTM source, UTM medium, and UTM campaign. We then added these fields to our inquiry form, which you can see on the right-hand side there. Those are all the fields that we capture. And then we worked with a web developer who effectively hid those fields in the form. And then we have a first-party cookie on our website so that when you come to our website via a UTM URL, it captures the source, the medium, and the campaign. That follows you around the website. And then when you fill in our inquiry form, it pre-populates those fields and captures it on the prospect level inside Pardot. So if you go on to the next slide, I've got an example of what our form looks like on the front end. So that's the same form as it looks like on our website. So the UTM fields are completely hidden. We're not reliant on the user here to fill them in. It's all automatic. But those then, when you hit submit, it sends that information into Pardot for us to report on later. So if we move on, please. So how do we capture this offline? So I mentioned earlier about QR codes. This is a campaign we're currently running at the moment, Superpowers. But offline, we tend to use QR codes or short URLs that then redirect to the UTM URL. So that on that image on the right-hand side, that's actually a advert we have in a publication in a magazine. If you were to use that QR code, it would redirect to a UTM, or there's a short URL, which you can see there is closeasset.co.uk/CM. That redirects to a UTM URL as well. So by doing that, we can still know what publication they've seen. In this case, the CM stands for Commercial Motor. That's a magazine that we advertise with. We know exactly what magazine they came from, what campaign it was for, and also the channel as well. We can start to group these leads into these different categories that way for both online and offline. So once you have that information, I would strongly recommend that you have it in Pardot, but you really want that to then go straight into lead, contacts, and opportunities. So we have those same fields created in our CRM, and they're mapped to Pardot. So when it comes through to Pardot, Pardot is the master in that case. It then sends that information to our CRM, and that information goes with it. Now, we've hidden those fields in the CRM, so no one else can see them, so no one else can edit them either. The leads are then sent to a lead queue, where a telesales team pick them up and qualify it. And if the lead has come from someone who is repeat business, i.e. contact that's already existing, we have a little flag in that queue that notifies and say this is an existing contact, but it's a new lead nonetheless. So we can capture it all in one place, and we know where all these leads came from, either new or existing. So now that we can report on accurate ROI per source, medium, campaign, now it's time to do the reporting. And this is the bit I love most. So we use CRM Analytics, as I mentioned, and we create Dataset that captures all of that information within the opportunity fields. And then we create dashboards to visualize that information. And if you can, I'd also say include the costs if you know what they are for a particular channel or event or a campaign, because then you can start to do your ROI. So I've got some examples here. So first of all, I'll talk a bit about what CRM Analytics is. If you've used it already, then you'll know a lot of this, but not, I'll just give you an overview. It's a Salesforce analytics tool. It talks direct to the CRM and Marketing Cloud. Within it, you create data sets to include only the objects and fields that you wish to report on. And then you create dashboards to visualize that data in engaging ways that update in real time. So you can see some examples here, but effectively you've got your different apps and your lenses and your data sets that you create. You then create your dashboard where that content is displayed. So I'm going to talk you through a bit of how we've done that. So on the next one, here we go, building the data set. So in Data Manager, you can build your data set, you select your opportunity, and then you select what fields that appear in opportunity you want to have in your dashboard. So example here, I've selected the UTM ones. Of course, we're going to want those ones, but there'll be other fields too that you want. Sometimes though, you may need to combine different objects together. So in this example here, we are combining the user object alongside the opportunity object. And by doing that, it means that I can start to look at opportunities, but I can then start to split them out by not just the UTM, but also by the opportunity owner and their team. So we can start to see how do particular individuals in the sales team perform, how a particular team's performing, and also from my point of view, are there some teams that are getting the marketing leads that we send them and converting them on a much higher rate than other teams, and why might that be the case? So we can start to filter our data down by not just where it came from, but also how it's performing with what team and what individual. Once you have the data set, we move on to the next step, which is creating a lens. Now, the best way to, when you create a data set, is you create a lens just to check that it's working properly. From here, you can actually add filters, you could add in date ranges, you can add in what fields you want to display in this lens, and you can save it as is, and then you can use that lens on different dashboards, or you can just use it as is and then add the filters directly on the dashboard. I tend to use the latter, but I don't think it really matters too much if I'm being absolutely honest, but I prefer to just have the lens as is on my dashboard and then use the filters globally across that dashboard. So once you have your lens, you then need to build your dashboard, which is the next step. So dashboards are very easy to build. It's drag and drop. On the left-hand side, you have like a menu of different items, components that you can drag on there. So you can have charts, it could be ranges, it could be graphs, it can be numbers. And then once you've dragged them in, you double click them, and then you choose what data set do you want to appear here and what data in that data set do you want to appear. So this is where you can have a bit of fun of what data are you wanting to display. You can also add filters onto here and buttons as well. So if you wanted to have a dashboard that shows everything, all of the opportunities you have, but then have a filter that breaks it down by the individual campaigns that you've had running for the last quarter, you could have a total number, and then as you select the buttons to show the individual campaigns, the numbers will change to give you just the information for that campaign you selected. And this is why having campaigns and source and mediums, I think, is so important, because you can start to have an overall figure, an overall report of how the whole marketing team is working, but then you can also start to break that down to, well, what channel is performing well, or what campaign has done well, what source is doing well here. And this is how you would do that. So I'm going to have some examples for you now of ones we've done. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to first of all show you how we create the formula to work out your return on investment. So I mentioned earlier, if you have the price, the cost, I should say, of a particular campaign or an event, what you can do is you can add that in as a formula. So you can say, this column here is all of the opportunities that are closed won. This is their value. I then want this as a percentage based on this as the cost of us to create that. So you can start to create your ROI formulas within here. So we have a particular channel, for example, pay-per-click advertising, where you know how much you're spending per month. You can start to work out actually the return on investment for that particular channel across the business. Now I will show you some examples. Here we go. So this is one we've built that shows how our leads are created and where they've come from. So these are leads that have come into via the website. We can see how many leads are created and how many of them converted. And then, I don't know if you can see within the screen, it might be a bit small, but on the left-hand side, that donut chart is broken down by campaign. And the right-hand side, that chart, that's broken down by medium. So we can start to see where these leads are coming from. Is there a particular campaign that's generating the most? Is there a particular medium that's generating the most? And you can start to interact with these and click on them to change the figures. So you can start to have one dashboard that people can engage with. And we use these now across the business with our directors to, rather than giving them just static, this is your report, here's your dashboard. You can see the data in real time. So that's one for leads. The next one, this one is looking at pay-per-click advertising. So this is a particular channel all on its own right. So we can change the date range that we're looking for, but we can then start to see how many opportunities have been created in the system via that channel. How much did we pay for that channel and how much have we generated from it? And then we start to get our return on investment for that channel alone. I can also then break it down to within that channel. That graph in the bottom right shows us the different campaigns within that one channel. So I can see which ones are performing well and which ones are not performing well. And I can move my budget around accordingly. And I can do that pretty much in real time. I check this every week to see how they're performing. And we do sometimes just move the budgets between them to make sure that we're getting the best return on investment we can. And you can also select them. If you go on to the next slide, it shows once you've selected them, it can change the numbers because I've only looked at that one campaign now. So the numbers at the top change accordingly. And then if we move on to the summary slide, sorry if I've powered through that, but in summary, capture UTMs on all the marketing activity you can. Naming conventions are very important. Agree these and stick to them. I mentioned earlier that if you have lowercase or uppercase, it will see them as different. So try to agree an approach to that. Ensure your Pardot Marketing Cloud is capturing them. If not, you can use custom fields and a savvy developer if you know one. It's not too difficult to set up, but you just need a first-party cookie on there. Make sure you're capturing them in your CRM. So we send it straight from Pardot to the lead, contacts, and opportunity by default, and we hide them so that no one can change them. And use short URLs and QR codes to capture them offline so that you're not missing any of your marketing activity. And then enjoy reporting accurately on your marketing ROI. That is the end of the presentation. Thank you. And sorry for all of the delays at the beginning there.
Wow, John, I am impressed. I'm impressed. Despite the technical issues we had earlier, you still finished your great presentation, may I add, with 4 minutes remaining.
I don't know how.
I don't know how either.
Rattled through that.
That was amazing. So we do have some time for some questions. Any good questions coming in? Let's see. Oh yeah, we have a few. Let's go ahead and get them started. Let's see. Michelle says, do you use UTM parameters and automation to auto-assign prospects to connected campaigns?
We do, yes. So we have, is the honest answer there. So what we do is we have automation rules that will look for the UTM to then effectively assign it to the relevant campaign in Salesforce. We also do a way, because there's another way we use for reporting as well, which is we have 3 ways that we report effectively. We use source of introduction, which is kind of the standard out of the box one, which is still very powerful, but you can't really drill down to sort of campaign level. And we use one where we call it sort of like campaign influence. So if we send out an email, for example, what we want to track is, we set this up with our developers, but anyone who opens or clicks an email, they get added to a different campaign because we know they've engaged with that piece of content. And then if they have an opportunity created within the next 60 days, it takes the value of that opportunity and assigns it to that email. So we can start to see influence of different pieces of marketing we put out there. But we do have different automation rules that will send people to different campaigns or even to different lead queues, depending on the campaign in question.
Awesome. All right, let's head over to the next one. About 2.5 minutes here. Do you had those UTM hitting form to every form on your website?
We do, yes. So we have 3 forms essentially on our website. We reuse them, I should say, but they are effectively 3 forms. We have our general inquiry form, which is the main one. We have a campaign form, which we add to landing pages. Some campaigns will only run for a couple of months. And we also have a different type of inquiry where within our business, we have certain assets like cars, trucks, vans that we have for sale, and you can make an inquiry about buying one of those assets, and we have it hidden on those ones as well. So we just had to do it 3 times essentially.
Awesome. All right, we got a good one here from Maida, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. How can you capture the UTMs if you don't use a Pardot form? My use case is an advocacy tool, and the form is built on the platform, embedded in our website, and we broadcast the form to our constituents through a Pardot email.
Okay. So I'll be honest, the forms we use are form handlers, I should say. So it's not a form embedded, it's a form handler with the fields mapped. This sounds though that would be slightly differently. I think it would depend on your developer, but if they could still have those fields hidden, you could still capture them and then send them within that email to to whoever needs to pick up that inquiry. And then it would just be a case of manually putting it into Pardot if you wish. But yeah, I think you can still capture it. It's just where you send that information after might be a bit more manual.
Yeah. And I think form handlers probably has a good chance to play a part here. See if that platform, Maida, has a like a webhook functionality or a place where you can point submissions elsewhere, and you may be able to use Pardot form handlers as well. Awesome. Crystal, our very own Crystal, has a question. You mentioned that, we've got about 30 seconds left, so we might not get to this one, but maybe talk through the process of hiding those fields on the...
Oh gosh, in 18 seconds. 18 okay, seconds. I'll do this. So we just have them on the form, and then the form as a form handler has them within the CMS. We then used a piece of code that sort of tracks what the UTM is in the URL and drops it into there. I'm afraid I'm going to cut out, aren't I? Sorry, everyone.
All good. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.